Hey, what's up, everybody? Brotrio here, and this is a weird one. So, we were sitting around talking, and one thing we were noticing was there are a lot of bosses in video games that are just heads and hands. So, we decided to get rid of our bodies to do top 10 head and hand bosses. So, we were doing this list, and we noticed a lot of them are Nintendo. So, there's a lot of Nintendo, but it's not all Nintendo. So, keep that in mind. As with all our lists, this is a collaboration of like Aaron's list, Scotty's list, and my list. So, that's how we average up the numbers and everything. So, with that said, let's get started with the head and hand bosses.
Starting off with one near and dear to my heart is the first form of Zoda from Star Tropics. Now he's pretty low because he doesn't do much with his hands outside of trying to grab you.
He just grabs you,
and his head pops out, and they're not at the same time often, if at all. But when his head pops out, he just shoots his own eyeballs at you.
Now, the hand sweeping motion is notable because it covers almost the whole screen.
Yeah, it's not easy, and those eyes come pretty quick, and
multiple times. And he's really creepy in the first place because it's just this weird, like, it's not gonna sound creepy, but it's like a creepy version of like Count Chocula, and he shoots his eyeballs at you.
Yeah, he's a head, shoots his eyeballs, and he tries to grab. And so technically, head and hands. Chance to talk about Star Tropics, that's all I need.
This next entry is one of the main reasons we started this list. You know him, you love to hate him, it is Sigma from Mega Man X. Now, we found out Sigma's done the head and hand things quite a bit. So
yeah,
you have...
it's kind of his thing.
You have Wolf Sigma from X1, where he just like floats his hands around and shoots at you. You have to jump on him to hit him in the head. Head and hands. You have the Virus Sigma from X2, where he's just the wireframe. He's just a head, no hands, but still kind of relevant. You have in X3, he took a break from it. X4, you have Earth Sigma, Gunner Sigma, and the 3 elemental Sigma heads floating around during the final battle.
Yeah, you got one that shoots, and 3 weird heads, and one head made out of trash that tries to suck you in.
He went all in on the head thing.
He loved heads. And then X5, you have, he's back to head and hands. It's big final form Sigma, where he's just as big as a skyscraper, and you can only see his head, and you have to shoot him in the drool on his forehead. That plant ball, and you have to jump on his hands, dodge his hands, and it's a bunch of stuff. And then you get to X6, and you fight Hell Sigma, where he doesn't do anything with hands, but he is a head that all he does is shoot out gooey, smaller heads. And he's just shooting beams all over the place. Hell Sigma is one of the cooler like fights in the X series. It's so much stuff is happening and so many heads are in it.
The most recent example of this type of boss on our list, Knuckle Tech from Super Mario Odyssey. This just has everything about the head hand boss that you could want. It's got the like just fighting you with the hands, you can jump around, do stuff, but this one has a twist. You can possess his hand and make him punch himself in the face.
Oh yeah, and the zombies.
Yeah, Knuckle Tech, whenever you like re-fight him, and he has all those like Day of the Dead zombies following you everywhere. You have to like escape them while also dodging Knuckle Tech's like fists, and like he shoots ice or crystals at you, and you just have to dodge that and the zombies
type of thing,
and take over the hand and punch him in the face.
Oh yeah, and it's so fun because you're just like, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, 3 times, and he's out like normal Mario enemies, but it was so cool to fight Knuckle Tech.
Alright guys, well it's time to do the thing! I will never miss an opportunity to talk about the Messenger, and this has one of the better head-and-hand bosses with the Arcane Golem. The master of the Temple of Time. It takes all the shopkeepers fusing into once to do the thing and make this arcane golem to truly test the messenger so he can go to the future to the 16-bit times and, deliver his message.
Which are so great.
Arcane Golem is an awesome boss because its hands are moving around doing all this stuff, and you have to bounce off or either land on its hands or bounce off of its attacks and stuff to get up to its head to wind step and keep jump slashing at the head.
The wind step
where you
is
can
so
hurt it.
cool.
Yeah, it is.
They're grabbing at you, punching at you, shooting beams at you, doing all kinds of stuff.
Thing.
And then it goes to a whole other level because in the Picnic Panic DLC, it's not a boss, but you get to play as the Arcane Golem doing this punch-out style final boss fighting Barmathazel when he fused with the Dark Messenger. And you end it all with
awesome.
A Kamehameha into a volcano. It's absolutely incredible and a brilliant showing of both head and hands. One of the weirder ways to get hands is to be a big ass tiki drum that eats bananas, blends them up, throws them up on your henchmen, and turns them into hands. But that is what Tiki Tong did in Donkey Kong Country Returns. And Tiki Tong was awesome for head and hand final boss. He wasn't the hardest boss in the game by any means, but he was interesting to fight nonetheless. I don't know why he put the weakness buttons on the back of his hands for Donkey Kong to hit.
Yeah, you can say that about a lot of bosses, but it's just like they were crystals, but it was just hit me here. Yeah. It's red.
But
hit here.
He
And
does
he just had the big old red button on his head underneath his hat.
And he does some cool attacks with his hands, like he'll do this, so he either have to jump over a hand or duck it. He even will slam down, and later on in the fight, he'll fake you out, and then he'll slam down and get you.
Yeah, I like that, because that's one of the few bosses that tries to fake out the player.
Yeah, he uses the head and hand tropes to his advantage. He knows you're thinking about it, because there's been so many, so he knows about it. And then once you defeat his hands, they turn back into bananas, of course, and then he just starts fighting you with his head. And then he slams down, he's shooting all these fire, birds at you and stuff. You have to dodge him, and then he slams down, and he's making this eruption thing, and then you can hit him in the head, and then he bounces you up into the atmosphere, and then Donkey Kong shows the true amount of strength he has when his bananas are on the line, and he punches the moon out of orbit onto Tiki Tong, and then a volcano erupts, putting the moon back into orbit and destroying Tiki Tong to deliver the bananas back to Donkey Kong Island. And it was one of the most ridiculous ways to end a game, and cool head and hands.
One of the more interesting Kirby bosses is Wham Bam Rock.
He's there a lot. Also.
Yeah, he does recur several times. But it's not just like Dynablade's a big bird. A lot of his stuff is kind of like that, or there's always a Meta Knight. But Wham Bam Rock just comes in, and it's just oh, there's this face in the wall. Oh, he's punching me. Oh, he's dropping his fingers on me. Oh my god.
He's dropping rocks on you.
Yeah, sometimes it's ice.
Yeah, his final form in Kirby Superstar DS, whenever he has three eyes, he's got his jewelry on, Wham Bam Rock is bringing it hard, because his original attacks are, pretty typical, dropping rocks, punching you, grabbing you.
I like how his punch is like a rocket.
Yeah.
He comes in hard on that.
He comes in hard doing that. He starts doing the finger guns and shooting at you. It's really cool. And the fact that they did that to all the main bosses in Kirby Superstar DS was amazing. But Wham Bam got a well-deserved facelift, and he was just really cool to fight. He's one of the He's the main boss I think of whenever you think Head and Hands, mainly because of nostalgia. But Kirby Superstar was a great part, and Wham Bam Rock was one of the most memorable bosses from that game.
We were just talking about rock hands, but what about coming from outer space with rock ghost hands? That's right, we've got Bouldergeist coming in. Super Mario Galaxy introduced us to a really cool boss named Bouldergeist. Unlike most Mario bosses, he technically takes more than 3 hits to kill. Once you destroy his body with the bomb ghost by swinging him into him and blowing him up, his uvula is exposed, and then you have to bomb that too. Now the uvula takes 3 hits, but it takes more than 3 hits to kill him totally, because you have to destroy that hard rock body first. That's part of the reason he made the list, is because he takes quite a few hits. He's probably the best boss fight from Super Mario Galaxy, and he's got a lot of head and a lot of hands.
This boss doesn't have the head part covered, but it definitely has both hands covered. Master Hand and Crazy Hand from the Super Smash Bros. Series. Master Hand is kind of a cool boss. Like, it's weird, but once you realize, like, in the first game, it's like a kid playing with toys, and that's just the final boss is his hand.
It's weird that they villainized a child's hand, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, he's just going around swatting you. I've died several times because sometimes he swats you way off the side.
And he's hard to fight.
You can't always get back. Yeah,
he's
always
big
like
hand.
He's always hovering like just out of reach, so you're trying to like jump and get him.
Oh yeah, fighting him as Little Mac is murder.
Yeah, yeah. And then later on, they brought in Crazy Hand.
Yeah,
and
he comes
as the name suggests,
dropping bombs.
He does
and
all kinds of weird attacks.
Flopping all over the
I hated
stage.
his flop around attack.
He'll poison you too and put you to sleep. And the worst is the double trouble when you fight both of them.
Oh, both at the same time.
They're coming at you both ends of the stage.
And they are not doing the same type of attacks either.
And on occasion, they work together.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they'll hold you and then punch you and stuff like that.
And we mentioned it before, but they also do finger guns.
Yeah, finger guns.
Of all the bosses on this list, I'd say none of them throw hands harder than Gigagaya. Gigagaya from Chrono Trigger is the only boss on this list that has virtually nothing to do with platforming in a game. And he was probably the first boss that took me more than 2 or 3 tries the first time I played Chrono Trigger, because he was very tough.
Oh yeah, that's a big difficulty spike right there.
He has his lightning hands. He has he's very hard, of course. And when you destroy his hands, you're like, great, now I'm just going to attack the head. Nope, more hands. He's got so many spare hands. So you have to focus on those hands, of course, because they hurt you bad. But if you don't kill the head, they're just going to keep coming back. Gigagaya was pretty hard for my younger brain at the time. And now that I know the way around him, not so much. But, man, Gigagaya first off, he's a really cool design. He looks like some kind of weird bat demon.
Yeah.
And second, he's hard. He's super hard. Well, back then he was. Once you realize his pattern, not that bad. You just have to keep someone healing constantly. Like, you have 2 attackers and 1 healer.
If you're not careful, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's why Gigagaya made the list. He's hard, looks cool, and I had a chance to talk about Chrono Trigger and Star Tropics in the same top 10, and I was going to take it.
In most people's opinions, the quintessential head-hand boss is Bongo Bongo from Ocarina of Time. Because for a lot of people, that was their first time really encountering this type of boss. And it's got everything there. Like, the hands are attacking you, you have to hit the hands so that you can hit the face.
You can't see the face either.
You're on a giant drum.
Yeah, you're on a giant drum because Bongo Bongo does not play when it comes to symbolism. And you have to use the Lens of Truth like constantly in this fight because you can't even see him because he's some kind of like ghost thing.
He's Shadow Temple, man.
Yeah, Shadow Temple's nuts.
He's a disarmed demon, like hanging upside down, playing the bongos with his like weird Demogorgon-esque like flower face. and he's got one eye, and he's got a really interesting Easter egg where if you get the hover boots, go do the Gerudo side quest to get the ice arrows and shoot Bongo Bongo in the hands. His hand freezes, and then he has to like hit the ice off of his hand with his other hand. It's really like a weird Easter egg, but if you do it, it's funny as hell to just see him doing that. Also, he's one of the better bosses of the entire Zelda franchise, let alone Ocarina of Time.
Very creative. For a head-hand boss, even though we said they do it a lot, Bongo Bongo was pretty creative with it, because you're on a drum. Yeah. And you have to shoot his hands with the arrows, and then he charges at you face first. It's odd. It's really cool, though, and you have to watch that magic meter.
And it's because of that, the iconography of the head and hand boss, the strategy you have to use to beat him by shooting the hands, seeing his invisible face, and then shooting him in the bright red eye, and the fact that he is one of the more memorable looking bosses, especially with head and hands, is why Bongo Bongo is the #1 head and hand boss of all time as far as Brotrio is concerned. Now, there are some other great head and hand bosses, I'm sure. It's all over the place. So if we didn't mention one, let us know. We barely didn't put Andros on here. He just didn't make the cut.
He was number 11.
So that's one. Let us know any others that we didn't put on the list. Let us know if you would list our list differently. Just let us know what you think about heads and hands in the comments. And we'll catch y'all next time with Brotrio videos. Hey, what's up? Oh my god.
This boss doesn't necessarily have a head. No, it doesn't at all.
No.
Okay.
This boss can't get a head, but he'll give you a hand.
That's terrible. It's not even good.
I might say
not
that
even
for the closer.
Joke. No, don't even say it. That's bad. That's the worst. Doesn't even make sense. He doesn't give...
Okay, you know, he tries to give you a hand.
Yeah.